Everyone, it's Sarah Oblak Spiker here, and today I want to talk to you about desires. I want to talk to you about failures, and I want to talk to you about growth and lessons, and second and third and 35th takes. So to illustrate this point, I'm gonna borrow Dawn Staley's story. If you're not familiar with Dawn Staley, she is currently a basketball coach of South Carolina's women's team as well as US Olympics team. Not only that, she's a three-time Olympic gold medalist as a player, as well as one of the top players who played in University of Virginia, and she led this university to NCAA championship. But it all started when I was watching this interview, and what was so fascinating to me, and I can't remember right now where this interview was. If I do, I'll leave it in the comments. However, she was saying how they finally, after going to 4 tournaments and 3 Final Fours, her senior year, finally they played the championship game, and all she ever wanted was to win championship, because the way she perceived that would buy the respect that she was yearning for. The game's coming to an end, the final seconds on the clock. It's a very tight game, and she went up for a final layout. She missed the layup. They lost the game. The heartbreak, as she describes it, was incredible. However, it allowed her to just make peace with it and continue playing. She went on to play, as I said, in WNBA. She made the Olympic team. Looking back now, her biggest lesson was that if all these years ago she had made it layup, her life would be in a total different trajectory. She probably would not even be involved with basketball anymore. However, missing that layup and losing the team lit up a fire that there was some unfinished piece, unfinished game. It was something that kept her coming back. And looking back now, from where she stands at the time of this interview airing, at least, she was able to connect the dots, and she was able to see a bigger picture. She was able to see that her role was not to be defined by a championship, but it was simply preparing her to step into a much greater role, to do a much greater job as a coach, as a trailblazer, to leave a legacy of a much greater impact as a coach and a trailblazer that she could have ever done it as a basketball player in college. So now this brings me to the original question, right? What happens when we find ourselves in a similar situation where we have this vision, we have the desire, we have the strategic plan, we take massive action, we show up, we play the game, and we still lose. We come in short, and poof, it's gone. Sound effects here. The poof sound effects. Anyhow, I can tell you from my personal experience, a very personal experience, and I'm going to deliberately leave out the details because they involve a couple of other individuals that are very close to me, and I don't feel right now it's really the time or the point to go into all these details. So my own experience has been very similar. A couple of years ago, I set out to achieve something extraordinary. At the time, it felt unattainable, but I had this vision and I had a desire, and I kept living in that desire every single day, and every waking moment and every hour that I put in through work, I was living through that desire to make it happen. In addition to that, the outcome that I set out to achieve had a very strategic meaning, because it would have opened the doors and it would have been a bridge for me to take a very particular action that at the time was driven by my ego. It was driven by hurt. It was driven by resentment. And there was plenty of victim mentality in that as well. Looking back now, it's all crystal clear as day. But when I was in the trenches, I could not see that. All I could see was that the more that I tried to make it happen, the more things kept falling apart. Which brought me to the next level of trying to find the reasons why things were not moving and trying to fix those reasons. So because my desired outcome was connected to a particular amount of zeros on my bank account, the most obvious reason must have been connected with money story. So I consumed everything that I could that had to do with money mindset. And I went down the rabbit hole deeper than I care to explain. And when I say deeper than I care to explain, I mean 100% commitment in terms of my time, energy, focus, resources, you name it. The funny thing happened. The more that I was digging in there, the more I had this feeling, this is not my mind to dig into. This is not the problem. I don't have the problem with that. However, my ego was still playing a very big part here. And now the fear of missing out kept coming up. And you know this meme that has been circling around the internet, the picture of a guy, he's in a mine, he's digging, and he finally stops, turns around, is about to leave the row, and he was inches away from diamonds. That was my visual. Like, what if I quit too soon? What if I quit too soon? What if I miss out something? Silly me, because we all know in life there's no coincidences, there's no mistakes, there's no way of missing out of something that was not even meant to be there for you to begin with. All there was a distraction. All there was this, it kept me busy. That's what it was. So fast forward to where we are today. Fast forward through all the other lessons that I had learned. Fast forward through peeling back the layers and releasing the stories and releasing the identities and breaking the patterns. What I can tell you right now is that I should have trusted my heart in the very first place. I should have realized the role that victim mentality was playing in that process. And I am glad that that did not happen. Because see, at the time, had I accomplished that particular goal, I would not have had the opportunity to peel back the layers and see things from a different perspective and see things from a much truer angle with way less stories and masks on. And what had I accomplished that particular goal, my life would have taken a very different turn, and it would have been a great mistake, which just goes to show that even when we feel like a failure, that we have made a mistake, that we're messing things up, that we're falling apart, there are no mistakes. There is only a preparation for something greater to come. And from where I'm standing right now, I am operating from a very different energy. I am seeing a very different vision, and I'm not operating in desires anymore, because desire means it's the energy of lack. I have learned to step it up and remove myself from the energy of desire and simply being in the energy as if it's already done. Huge difference. And those individuals that I mentioned earlier, a relationship with those individuals has changed tremendously. Simply because I kept doing the work on me. At the beginning, it sounded like an accident, but looking back, there's no such things as accidents. There's no such things as commitments. So my invitation to you today is to perhaps go back and reevaluate your story, reevaluate what has happened, and give yourself a gift of an elevated and shifted perspective.